Hello.
Hello. Thank you. I'm a lucky man. I've had a lot of the questions answered already, but I wanted to just get closer and throw this one out because it is on my mind. There's been a lot of movement in a good direction after my friend introduced me to your work about 10 years ago. And I have levels of consistency in certain areas, and other areas seem to be resistant to a consistent effort at times. In your book, Ask, and it is given on page 163, it says workshops every day. I will do that once, twice, 3 or 4 times, and then the next thing you know, it's 4 weeks later and I haven't given it a thought. And I feel a need for a much more intense effort at creating.
Well, we understand how you want to take your work ethic and apply it to this too. And there's something to be said for deliberately applying oneself with greater effort. We understand all of that. It sort of falls in the action-oriented category, however. But we want you to leave this gathering saying things more like, well, I am where I am, now what? Because when you say, I'm consistent about some things but not others, you are far from making peace from where you are. In fact, what you're doing is beating an old drum that somebody else sort of labeled you with, that you're a procrastinator and that you don't dig in and that you could do so much better. And we say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Let them tend to their own whatever. And you acknowledge that you're just doing fine. And the more you acknowledge how well it's going in that area and that area and that area, then the better it will go in the areas that you are saying that you're not consistent with. Another thing we'd like to say to you is that you can't turn your creative mechanism off. You can't turn your point of attraction off. So let's say that you're right and you've been lazy and you've got a vibration going on that's attracting something to you that you don't want. And let's say it's been going on long enough that you've launched many rockets of desire. So it's not that you don't know what you want in relationship to what you've got. You clearly do. Well, in any moment that you're observing the manifestation or the result of what you don't want, you just get clearer about what you do want, so you have a new starting point. We see so many of you who get so discouraged because you want to calculate not only where you are in relationship to where you want to be, but how long you've been here and how far you've come to get here. And we just want you to start thinking about where you are in terms of where you want to be, and everything gets so much simpler. There are people who want to lose 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 pounds, let's say, or more, who stand at a place of just beginning that, who feel so unhappy where they are. And we say, if you've just turned and point in the direction of where you want to be, you'd feel better immediately. And if you had that attitude of, all I got to do is point in the right direction and then just gently go there, the struggle would be over immediately and the results would begin showing up right away. But there's something that so many humans have found about needing to explain where I am and justify where I am to that one and that one and that one and that one. And we think it's a byproduct of not tending to your own vibrational crack, but instead being so infinitely aware of what everybody else thinks about where you are in relationship either to where they are or in relationship to where they've heard you say you want to be. It's really annoying, isn't it, to confide in somebody where you'd like to be and then have them checking in all the time to see how you're doing. Sort of makes you wish you didn't tell them that you weren't right where you want to be, because now they're kind of keeping score of how well you're doing. And we say, don't ask anybody to keep score of where you are in relationship to anything. You just keep score in relationship between how you're doing. Where am I in relationship to where I want to be? And here it is. And what's this thought right here, right now, this thought where all of my power is, what's this thought doing, taking me this way or this way? So give us an example of some place where you are feeling a little stuck, where you're not applying the consistency, and let's show you.
Okay, I have desires to be an artist, a musician, and I do very well there right now. I would also like to address money problems, my relationship with money. You really hit home when you talked about old messages that were given to me.
All right, so here you are, and never mind where you've been, and so you want more money to flow into your experience. You want a lot of more money to flow into your experience. You want to be properly paid for the talent that you are able to express, and you'd like your money to flow through your art, through your music, yes?
No, they've split. The art is a hobby.
Oh, so you don't want any money to come through that?
I would love it. Old message. That's an old message. Yeah.
So you want dollars to flow, and you want dollars to flow in response to the things that you love to do and the things that you're good at doing.
Yes.
So now just talk to us, anything you want, about your art and music. And we're going to demonstrate whether you're going with the flow or against it with every sentence. And don't try to fix it the way you think we want it to be.
Okay.
Just speak as you speak. It will be so helpful for you and others.
Okay, I've had the experience of surviving fairly well, playing the type of music.
All right, now that's cute, but it's not a good word. Surviving isn't really the best word. It falls into the same category as starving artists.
Okay.
And when you talk about surviving, what it's saying is, I've struggled and I've gotten by, but I've never really been rewarded. And so that's clearly going against the flow. Can't you feel it when you say it?
Yeah.
So say something that feels better than that. Anything that feels better than that.
I will get the better jobs. The
Now,
better music jobs.
before you go there, surviving feels like that, but you can say, but I'm a survivor. Does that feel like that? I've been surviving. I've been getting by. But after all, I've been getting by. In other words, same words, but you can mean it against yourself or you can mean it with the flow, can't you? I've done all right for myself. I've stayed true to what I like to do. Doesn't that feel better?
Yes,
Can't you feel the difference, you see?
Yeah.
So now give us some dialogue and make an effort to go that way. And if you go that way, it doesn't matter.
If I go the other way, it doesn't matter. Well, I wanted to finish the sentence about having survived well, and to the point where it seems that in the level I was working at, the jobs aren't there anymore. They're really not there.
Well, now stop, because you're facing reality.
Yeah.
You see, we're not asking you to accurately depict reality, and we're not asking you to explain why you're where you are. We're asking you to turn and go with the flow of your greater stream. Now, you got to remember, and we've done a pretty good sales job of this today, you came forth into this environment intending to thrive, and life has caused you to carve out the means with which you want to thrive. In other words, there's a vibrational escrow that's really powerful. So as you make this statement right now, what this crack is about is, what am I doing right now with my words, with my attitude, with my commentary, with my body language, with the story I'm telling, with the thing I'm remembering, with the thing I'm imagining? What am I doing right now in my activated vibration in terms of going with the flow or going against it? That's the only question you ever need to ask yourself. Am I going with this flow or am I going against this flow? So now just ramble with that in mind and make an effort to go with that flow. It feels better.
Yeah. Yes, I am. I am doing more. Moved up here recently, up into Orange County, and discovered a whole new arrangement of people who play the music that I do.
All right, now that's going with the flow. Can't you feel it?
Yeah.
That's going with the flow. Tell us more about that.
I'm playing more than I've played in the past 10 years, in the past couple of months.
That's going with the flow. Can't you feel that? That's really going with the flow. And so if you could stay fixated there on things like that, it wouldn't be any time at all before that flow would just carry you into the abundance that you're looking for. So give us more while you're on a roll here.
Oh, it's abundant right now. Really, it truly is. I've been playing every week. And
now, did you hear that? It truly is. Meaning it's not just this airy-fairy in my mind thing. I'm really getting money. That's fine, but we don't want you to make that distinction quite so profoundly.
Okay.
In other words, Abraham, I'm not making this success up like that other stuff you're trying to get me to say. And that might be enough for one effort. But you get the sense of this. In other words, the only thing that you need to do is Identify which statements that you make feel good and which statements that you make don't feel so good, and make more of the good feeling ones and fewer of the less good feeling ones. And don't try to entertain people with your negative commentary, and don't try to state reality with your negative commentary, and don't try to tell it like it is. In other words, you've got a new mission, and that is to go with the flow. And what is this flow? When did it get started? It got started before you were even born, but it was added to by everything that you've been living. It is a huge stream that when you go with it, you love it. And no matter where you are relative to a relationship, no matter where you are relative to the music success or the financial success, no matter where you are in the real world or in reality right now relative to any of it, in the moment that you turn in the direction of the flow, you begin feeling better immediately. 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 You might be a few days or a few weeks or a few months before the manifestations start showing up, but in the moment that you turn in the direction of the flow, the struggle is over. The ease begins. And because of this vibrational relativity, in the moment that you begin to turn with it, you feel so much better. Now, people who are judging you from outside, they don't know to applaud until you get up here closer. That's why you got to leave them out of the equation. You can tell that you're going with the flow. And if you're not trying to take score yet, you're just realizing that you've turned around and now you're moving in that direction. So what if I'm still 100 pounds overweight? So what? I'm on the way. So what if I'm 50 pounds overweight? So what? Oh, it matters if I compare myself to that scrawny little girl and that scrawny little girl and that scrawny little girl. But if I'm not comparing myself to how I used to look or to how they look, if I'm only feeling that I'm now moving in the direction of what I want as opposed to moving in opposition to what I want. So what if I don't have an extra $1 million in the bank? I'm going with the flow. And we promise you, if you keep going with the flow, you'll have the $1 million in the bank and more. It has to be. Law says that it has to be, you see. And we think this is what so many of you have not known. You haven't been quantifying your journey. You haven't known who you really are. You haven't known the reason for the positive or the negative feeling in your belly. So you haven't quantified your journey. So you start heading in the right direction, and then you head in the wrong direction, and then the right, and then the wrong, and then the right, and then the wrong, and then the right, and the wrong, and then you say, I can't get here. I've been trying this so long. And we say, you have not consistently been moving in the right direction. Never mind how long it takes, just keep turning it around and turn it around and turn it around and turn it around and turn it around. And when you start going with the flow, you get all kinds of benefit of all kinds of time back, because you know when you're not paddling, you're more productive. When you start going with the flow, you have all kinds of benefit because you have greater clarity when you're not struggling. In other words, when you start going with the flow, it gets easier and more delicious and more satisfying right away, immediately.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks
indeed.
very much.